Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? You good? Happy? All happy to be here? Okay, I'll try not to ruin that vibe. Okay. So, I'm Nemo the Mormon, I guess. That's what you need to know about me. And I come from a little group of islands in the North Atlantic. The British Isles, here. Okay? See that? Lovely, isn't it? Lovely and green. I'm very close to the sea. I can breathe there. Yeah. I'm currently doing what some of my ancestors did in the mid-1800s. I've travelled all the way to Utah in the hopes that my weird views about the world will be accepted. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they will. There is one view, though, that I hold about the world that is not weird. And if you take nothing away, other than this, from what I say to you, then your life will be better. You need to treasure this. Hold on to it. Love it. Okay? What I'm about to tell you will change your life. The first step in making a proper cup of tea involves a mug and a tea bag. Okay? I am speaking as a prophet right now. Okay. This is the bedrock of the process. You start with the mug. There's no water yet in the mug. The tea bag goes in first. This is where you put the tea. Don't put the tea here. Far too much water. This is where the tea goes. Okay. There won't be many more of those, I promise. Now you need boiling water. Okay, this is important. You need a kettle. That's what one of those is. If you don't have one, get one. There's no point doing this without one of those. So get yourself one. It will change your life. Then, once the water is boiling, pour it onto the tea bag in the mug. Stir, leave the tea bag to sit for a few moments, and then remove the tea bag. Okay, that's the brewing process. That's how that works. No microwaves. No microwaves are involved. Now milk. Fun fact about this milk, it expires on the 30th of October. It will be gone off by the time I get home, so I'll have to throw it out. You add the milk until your tea goes a lovely colour, like this. Okay? That is a good colour for your tea. Then you get ready to add some sugar. Not a whole bag, just some. A spoon, maybe two, to taste. And that is it. Okay, can you tell how passionate I am about this? It's important, it matters. But that wasn't always the way. For the first 23 years of my life, the Mormon Church robbed me of one of the most common cultural signs of my people. It cannot be understated just how much of a role tea plays in the British life. Someone is sad, you make them tea. Someone's come to your house at a certain time, you make them tea. You meet a new person in the street, you're probably having tea. It's really important. And I don't have that in common, or I didn't, with my people. So this is me. I knew you'd say that. I was adorable. Yeah. What happened? Yeah, I grew up. So yeah, I grew up and I got baptized. That's me, age 8 again. I entered into a religious contract without any consent, without any informed consent. I aligned myself with a foreign religion that I didn't really understand. And by doing so, I would increasingly become alienated from key aspects of what I'm calling my native culture. Like many of you, I was alienated from this culture by an insider-outsider narrative that is so often propagated. The main difference, though, is that for you in predominantly Mormon communities, and speaking to those of you who grew up where your neighbours were all Mormon, those were people you knew, the big scary world, the others, they were out there. And you could hide in your Mormon community, and the scary outside world, they could kind of be ignored. But for me, the big scary world was all around me. It was my teachers, my friends, those that I had outside of church, my teachers I was regularly competitive with. The scary world had a face, and that face was all around me. So, before you guys exported McDonald's and Burger King, and my favourite Five Guys, this is where you would spend your time. This is another aspect of British culture. This is the pub. Okay? Nice old buildings, sticky floors, and a bar to sit at and chat with your friends. These are the social hearts of many British communities. Some villages have a Church of England church, a pub, maybe a post office, and that's it. They decided, over a long period of 100 years, all you need to survive is a pub and a church. Both religions were catered for. So by driving a wedge between me and my native culture, I felt that my only community was in the church, and I'm pretty sure that was on purpose. And I'm sure many of you felt the same way, which is why you're here. And I want to talk about this phrase I'm using, native culture, because I know that can carry a lot of baggage. And, well, I mean, I come from an island where we've been doing this for 1,000 years at least, so I guess I don't feel bad about that, but your mileage may vary on the use of that term. But now we're going to talk about some differences. Because this alienation from the outside world is something we have in common, like I said. But it's that difference between, we hear the phrase peculiar people, right? And being a peculiar person amongst other peculiar people in a peculiar culture that happens to include fry sauce. Anyone want to explain that one to me? I don't know what that's about. That's different to being a peculiar person surrounded by the rest, by the other. Group A and Group B, let's call them. Group A for America, Group B for British. Each comes with its own advantages and disadvantages. So I want to make sure I get this right. I'm going to stop and read this for a moment. So the advantage of being Group A is that you get to have a very full and complete sense of identity. Because everything aligns. Your culture, your people, your religion, your neighbours, everything conforms to that worldview while you're actively Mormon. It all works rather harmoniously. The downside, however, is that as you leave that group, everything goes. Your neighbours, your friends, your family, all those things that were working so harmoniously for you, gone. You no longer connect with your culture in the same way because it was also heavily influenced by systems that you no longer align yourself with. I was sat with a friend yesterday eating, and he was describing a counterculture that seems to be developing here. Well, this is part of it, but any of you finding that there's kind of pushback now against the kind of Mormon-dominated culture here in Utah? Have you seen that? Yeah? It's good? Okay. So that problem's lessening then. Group B don't really have that cultural isolation issue. Those outside of this very peculiar place. Once they learn how to get on with the others around them when they leave the church, they almost get a fresh start. In a culture where no one's got any real preconceived notions about you, no one really knows what a Mormon is. So you can just kind of get on. But the downside to that is there's not many people around who have a shared common experience with you. There's not many people around who know what it was like to grow up Mormon, know what it was like to be like us, I guess. And that's why I've been traveling around Europe setting up Thrive groups. So this is Poland. Its second largest city is Krakow, there in the south. And there's 13 members in Krakow. Their church building is inside an office block. There was 30 active members a few years ago, and that was considered a large group. There's no wards, there's only a district, because there's no wards, there's no stakes. And this is the Thrive event we had there. So a lot of you have met Alex, that's my wife, over in front. That's me, that's Hannah, Paul, and the name's completely gone blank to me. Apologies, I'll remember her name, I'll tell you. But we also went to Berlin, and I don't remember everyone's name here, which is really bad of me. I'm sure if I thought about it, I'd remember. But this was a larger group. Proportionally, Berlin's got a much larger Mormon population. Wards in the size of hundreds, all these things. But again, only 9. And so they need each other. They really do. And it was one of the greatest privileges to bring a group like this together in a park in the middle of summer. And all we did was we sat and we talked. And they realized they weren't the only people in the city that this had happened to. They realized that they could meet together, and they are doing still. They're still meeting together and forming community right where they are. They need what we all have here. They need a place for understanding, a place for growth, a place for healing. That's what they need. And so, how do we heal? That's really difficult to see, I'm sorry about that. But there is a big red circle that says Mormonism, and just underneath it is a little blue circle that you can't quite see yet. That blue circle is going to become really important. So this is the way I view healing, and I'm not a professional. There's a lot more qualified people in this room to help you with this than I am, but this is how I look at it. You've got this Venn diagram that slowly but surely you'll begin to pick apart. There's you, and there's Mormonism. And as you pull these circles apart slowly, carefully, and painfully, you'll begin to take the things from Mormonism that you like, and that you find beneficial and helpful, and you'll take them with you. And you'll leave the things that damaged you. You'll begin to unpick it slowly but surely. And you'll take negatives away, and you'll bring positives with you until you start to get some sense of identity, some sense of you in that nice blue circle. And then one day, this is what I hope for all of you, all that will be left is a large, beautiful whole. That's what I hope for each of us. Thank you.